Welcome to the Marcus Coat Fitness podcast, Hugh.
Thanks for having me, mate. Thank you.
It's a privilege and pleasure to have you on, Hugh. I don't often get too nervous for podcasts, but leading up to the week, I have been, but I'm really looking forward to this chat. So thanks again for the time.
I'm the last person in the world. I'm the last person in the world you can get nervous about, I promise.
How are you traveling anyway?
It's like one day is good, the next day is really challenging. I got two young kids at home, one 3.5, the other 7 months. So like I said to my wife the other day, I said, I feel like if we didn't have kids, I'd just be loving this lockdown, like being able to stay at home, not work as much. But it's pretty brutal. Anyone out there who's wrangling young kids, it's every day is just like a battle. And like when they finally go to sleep, I kind of look at my wife and go, did we go okay today? I don't know. I think we did okay. But yeah, it's pretty tough going. But it could be a lot worse.
That's it. No, it's good to hear. I just want to start off with a bit of background on yourself. Just before you started the Resilience Project, your experience and your journey, because I really love it. Also, like reading your book, I absolutely love that. So for my listeners, I would highly recommend going to get the book of Hugh's there.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. Well, I'll tell you what wasn't in the book. The fact that when I was 19, 20, 21, I actually trained to be a personal trainer. And I did a certificate, 3 and 4 diploma in fitness training or personal training. I can't remember what it was, but and worked in the industry for a couple of years and loved it very much. Have always been very much into my fitness. And still am today. Absolutely love it, but not quite the expertise to be a personal trainer anymore. But my journey started really, I suppose, with a very, very happy childhood. But everything changed for my family when my little sister Georgia. I've just realised I've signed in on the wrong person. Sorry, my name's come up as Martin Heppel. Sorry. Sorry about it. That's all right. For those listeners have no idea what we're talking about. When you sign in on Zoom, your name comes up and it's someone else's name. But anyway, you don't need to hear that, everyone. My journey really started with a happy childhood. But when my sister was 14 years old and I was 16, my sister stopped eating. She developed anorexia nervosa, had really bad body image issues. And I remember sitting over the dinner table with mum and dad. Mum and my sister had one of their nightly arguments over food. My dad was upset and my little brother was a bit shell-shocked, and as was I. But I remember sitting there thinking, my family's not happy anymore. We went from being the happiest family and we're just not anymore. And it's because of this mental illness. And to be honest, as a 16-year-old back in 1996, like no one ever talked about mental illness. So I just didn't get it. I was like, what do you mean she's not eating? Like just eat food and then you'll get better. I don't get this. And I remember, I hear about people with cancer and I'm like, well, that's a real illness because these people can't do anything to get better really. Like, they've got to go and have like procedures, and my sister has to eat food and she'll get better. So at first I didn't take it too well. I wouldn't say I was overly supportive. I mean, I wasn't not supportive, but I was but I just remember having this feeling of like, I was just really fascinated with what is it that makes people happy? Like, what do happy people do that makes them really happy? And I think I wanted to know how to help my mum and dad feel happy again, to be honest, at a really basic level. Anyway, I didn't know what to do with that. Like I was like, I thought I'll go and be a teacher and then I can teach in primary schools. I can help kids at young age develop their well-being and their mental health so the same thing doesn't happen to my sister. But I don't really know how I was going to do that. I was just like, I'll just be a good teacher and hopefully I won't get a mental illness. And then when I was 28 years old, so fast forward quite a few years. So I did personal training for a while, then got into teaching and did that, and still had this like itch of, like I saw so much mental illness in the school as I taught at a girls' school. And whilst I was in the primary school, the secondary school was right next door. And I'd just see these girls who were just struggling, anxiety, depression, eating disorders. And I was just completely like baffled by this. I suppose what I'm trying to say is I became even more curious, and my ex-partner and I decided to go and do some traveling over in India in 2008, and she said to me, let's go and find somewhere to volunteer. and as a teacher, I said, yeah, it's a great idea. And we ended up in this village called Tixo. And in Tixo, there's no running water, there's no electricity, there are no beds, everyone sleeps on a dirt floor. It's like right in the middle of the desert, right? Like we're in the desert.
Easy.
Yeah, and I remember thinking to myself on my first day in the school, like, these kids are the happiest kids I've ever met.
Yeah.
These people, end of the first week there, I was like, these people are the happiest people I've met. I don't understand this, but these people, this is so unbelievably happy. I'm looking around there going, there is nothing here.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing that you would, no, nothing that we consider valuable back home in Australia. And
yeah.
And I was meant to be there for 2 weeks. And after 2 weeks, I was like, no, I'm not leaving here.
Yeah.
I'm going to live here. And I'm going to live here as long as it takes me to work out what do these people do every day that just makes them so happy.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, Marcus, I lived there for 3.5 months.
Yep.
And in 3.5 months, I saw 3 things these people did every single day.
Yep.
These people stopped their day and they practiced gratitude, they practiced empathy, and they practiced mindfulness every single day. I joined in, made me feel extremely happy. And I was like, I got to talk to my sister about this stuff. And not only that, I came back to Melbourne. I was like, I got to study this stuff. This is unbelievable. So I went back and did my postgrad studies and I looked at the research and the science, and it turns out there's like nearly 50 years of research screaming at us in Australia. If we want to feel happier, if we want to improve our mental health, if we want to help someone who's struggling with a mental illness, we got to start practicing these 3 things. And that's what I talked to my sister about. That's what I believe saved her from her mental illness, like literally like 14 years after she was first diagnosed. And that's why I guess I've been very passionate about them and trying to tell as many people as I can.
Yeah,
because I've seen the impact they had on my sister. That's a very long answer to your question, Marcus. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I really like listeners will definitely get a lot of that. So that's really good. With going back from when you were in India there as well, what do you think caught your eye on your little friend Stanzen?
Yeah. So my first day in the school, I met this kid in grade 3 called Stanzen. And honestly, like this kid never ever stopped smiling. Like he was just, every time I looked at him, he had this massive smile on his face. No matter what we were doing, if he didn't want to do that, well, if we're doing maths, if we're doing literacy, if we're doing English, he didn't care. He's just smiling the whole time. And he just had this look of like the whole time. He's like, how good's this? Like he just looked like everything that happened was like, how good's this? I remember one day I was sick and I didn't get to school.
Yeah.
And we were living in the principal's house. There's like this little mud hut type thing.
Yeah.
And I remember I was lying on the floor because there's no like furniture. I'm lying on the floor at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And I hear this pitter pattering of like footsteps and giggling around the house. And there's no windows. They just have like these holes in the mud brick. And I was like, what is going on? And I just like heard this noise. And it was this kid Stanzen just like pulling himself up in the window with a massive smile on his face. And he just goes, you okay? And I went, yeah, mate, I'm fine. He goes, you weren't at school, you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm just a bit sick. He goes, can I do anything? And I was like, my God, this kid has actually come from school to check that I'm okay, like after school.
Yeah.
Like in Australia, if your teacher's sick, you go, yes, emergency teacher. Let's destroy him. Let's destroy the emergency teacher. That's all that happens in your head. You don't lie around after school going, I hope my teacher's okay. I better go. Like, it's just not something we do yet.
Yeah.
This kid was just like, I better go and check on him. But it wasn't just me. It was like, it was everyone. If someone was by themselves at lunchtime in the schoolyard, straight over to them. Hey, just checking you're okay. Do you want to come play with us? You look lonely. Like this kid was just, he was hell-bent on making sure everyone was just so unbelievably, like he just wanted to make sure everyone's okay. And I just like, this is the kindest kid I've ever met. That's empathy, when you feel what someone else feels. And that's one of the reasons he's so happy, because he just does things for people all the time. Yeah,
and that's really good. How did you come about writing the book as well?
Oh, mate, it's a great question. In fact, while I'm getting to that, Marcus, I'm going to do something that is a bit weird halfway through a podcast. I'm getting rid of my chair and I'm kneeling on the floor.
That's all right.
Because you'll understand this. And I reckon most of your listeners will as well. I've got proximal hamstring tendinopathy.
Oh, really?
And so I can't sit down for more than 15 minutes without this like dull ache appearing in my hip. So I'm now kneeling down. Sorry, mate.
Well, good choice. That's all right.
What was the question? Oh yeah. So the book, Penguin. So ABC Books approached me about probably 4 years ago to write a book, and they said, met a really nice lady who said, I think you should do like a book about the tips for parents. And I said, oh, I think it should be more than that. I think it should be like my life story. And and she said, no, we think tips to parents would sell really well. And I was like, yeah, it doesn't matter. That's not what I want to do. So we didn't do that. And then Penguin Random House approached us about 2.5 years ago. And we said, how long will it take to write a book? They said, probably a year. And I said, I don't have that time. And Ben, our general manager here, who's kind of like my manager as well, I guess, he just said he doesn't have time. It's not going to work. And so we said, we'll think about it in 2019. We'll look at 2019. And we ended up clearing about, we'd planned to clear my schedule so we get the book done. But in the end, what I did was, and I wouldn't recommend doing it this way. And I'm not showing off to say you should work this hard, because sleep is, as you would know, Marcus, is just so vital for every element of our life. But like, I'd get up at 5 and write till like 8, go to work, get home, get the kids to bed, fed and to bed, and then I'd write the book till midnight or whatever it is. And we did that for about probably 6 months. I wrote it with an incredible guy called Craig, who initially was like, we brought him on as a ghostwriter. So I would call him and I'd just talk to him for hours and tell him all my stories, and he'd type them up. And in the end, we're like, it's not really a ghostwriter, because I'm actually telling the stories word for word, and he's more like a project manager. So we call him a project manager in the end. I told him all my stories. He said, this is the order they should go in. And then he sent me back a manuscript, and I looked at him and went, no, I don't like that, don't like that, love that. And we just kept going back and forth over 6 months until, to be honest, and I haven't said this before, but I wasn't happy with it when it was done. I was like, no, I'm not happy with this, but it's been going for 6 months and I don't think I'll ever be happy with this. And so I was like, stuff it, just print it. I can't do this anymore. Like I remember the night before it went to print, I remember I was in a hotel in Sydney. And I had every chapter page printed out, and I had it in, if anyone's watched the movie The Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe, there's that scene where he's got his chalkboard, he's got stuff everywhere. I had like paper everywhere. I'm reordering chapters and reordering paragraphs, and I had paper around me. And we'd had a big chapter on Steve Smith, the Australian career captain, and I'd had a phone call from his manager saying, actually, we don't want that chapter in the book. And that was like the night before. I was going, oh my God, you're kidding me, it's such a good chapter. So that comes out, and so it was a very, I think, as far as stress levels goes, I've never experienced stress like it. But I'm so happy we did it, because I think the end product has been, we chose a good time to write a book on how to cope when times are challenging in your life.
Exactly. No, I think even as a more, like, definitely people would take a lot of value out of it too. And like, even as said, this time now, like current circumstance now, as I said, good time to read, and people to understand it as well. So that's really good. There's
a bit of a thirst for it at the moment. I think this kind of like, I think it's a really important topic for people to understand how the things you can do to help yourself to feel happier.
Definitely. Well, awesome. Touching on the GEM process, how do you recommend people practice that?
The great thing is you only need to put aside 10 minutes every day to do it. So GEM being gratitude, empathy, and mindfulness. Just at the end of the day, just get a notebook or a notepad next to your bed and just write down 3 things that went well for you every single day. That's pretty simply how you practice gratitude, right? It couldn't get much easier. What went well for you? Not amazing things like had a nice coffee this morning, listened to a good podcast, saw the sunrise, whatever. Like that's it. Had a good workout. Like that's it. Just 3 small things every day that went well for you. The second one, empathy, is like, we spoke about empathy before, but it's literally looking out for opportunities to do kind things for other people. So if you could try and do maybe 1 act of kindness a day or every couple of days, it doesn't have to be a huge thing. Write someone a nice text message, send someone a nice email, give someone a buzz out of the blue, just checking in, how you're doing, especially in the current climate around the world. Like massive, like it just makes you feel happier. And then the third one, mindfulness, is like, there's a lot of apps out there for meditation. So just find an app that you really love. I would recommend either, my main recommendation is an app called the Resilience Project. But beyond that, I'd recommend something like, Waking Up with Sam. Sam's a neuroscientist. There you go. Terrific meditation podcast. But if doing a meditation is not your thing, the next time you're going for a workout and you're doing your warm-up, say it's a 10 or 15 minute walk, with my sport, with sprinting, so I run 400s. It takes me, it sounds ridiculous, but my warm-up's about 45 minutes because I'm 40 years old. Like, it takes me so long to warm up. But
get going.
Yeah, it takes a long time to get going, and sometimes I'll do a warm up and I still can't get going. But I will the whole 45 minutes. All I do is think about how my body's feeling and how my
Yeah,
breathing's feeling and how do my calves feel right now. Yep, they're warm, ready to go. How do my quads feel? Yep, they're good. My hamstrings a bit tight. I'll keep doing a bit of this.
yeah,
How's my back feel? And then you just pay attention to your body for 45
yeah,
minutes or 15 minutes or even 5 minutes. Like that's a very mindful thing to do.
yeah, definitely as
So,
well.
so that's how I'd recommend doing it.
Yeah, I think that's in like talking about fitness and like going to train. I think it's, as I said, really good to switch your mind off a little bit and then like focus on what you're going to go train or run or walk that way as well. So I think that's really good.
Yeah, totally. And I like, to me, I mean, what you do, like we do a lot of work trying to promote mental health, but
Yeah,
you do that without even telling people. Like you don't have to say we're going for a run for your mental health. They think they're going for a run for physical fitness, but
yeah,
it is so good. I think it's almost, with everything I've read, everything I've done, everything I've experienced in my own life, I almost feel like physical, like exercise, daily exercise is one of the biggest keys to being
oh,
a happier
yeah,
person.
that's
There's
awesome.
a,
Even like
there's a,
with my clients, like when I train them or something, like you can see, oh, if like when they're coming in, see how they're feeling. If they're obviously like, I don't know, maybe a hard day at work, a little bit down, a bit tired and stuff. And then I just notice at the end of the session, they're like upbeat and like, and they're ready to go. Or even in the mornings, if they're like go to work straight after, like it sets them up for the day as well.
oh, totally. It's, there's something about it. I mean, there's a lot of science behind it, but I think just the feeling you get, like,
Yeah.
I was speaking to a guy the other day who swims every single morning at Elwood Beach, and he gets in there at 5:30 every morning. And he said, and he swims for an hour in Elwood Beach. And
Yeah.
he said to me, and he used to do that in an indoor pool, but now because of COVID, he's swimming in the bay. And he said, it's funny, like you don't always love the person going in at 5:30 in the morning, but you always love the person coming out.
Yeah.
It's so true. Like 5:30 going, what am I doing this for? Like, I feel like shit. Like I've got to do this when I get back. I feel tired and get enough sleep. You exercise for an hour or whatever, how long, half an hour, and you are so proud of yourself for doing it in the cold, in the wet, whatever it is. You just feel better about yourself. And what you said, it just sets you up for the day so nicely. Like the days that I know, I can't train on the track every day of the week because my body can't cope with it, but I do 3 track sessions a week, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I wake up Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays with a spring in my step because I can't wait to go and do exercise.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Touching on mental health again, do you have a morning routine?
Well, I love that you've asked that because I can't at the moment because of because I've got a daughter who wakes up at 5 in the morning, and then my son's up at 6, and it's like, well, I'll tell you what morning routine is. I change 2 nappies before 6 in the morning. I've got breakfast ready for my 3.5-year-old who doesn't eat; he just throws it everywhere. Try and get my. I'm really big on healthy eating at the moment, so. Mate, my routine is honestly at the moment is just to survive. Like it's just to survive before I get to work. And it's the thing I've been thinking about that I miss the most. And it sounds weird. I am literally having fantasies at the moment about when I can have a routine again and what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait. And I'm probably, to be honest, another 2 years away from a morning routine. I look back on my life before I have kids, and I'm so angry at myself for not maintaining a routine. But the days that I did were my happiest days by far. Like I had, there's a stage in my life when I was 27, 28, 29. And on Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays, I'd be at the gym at 6 in the morning with one of my best mates, Kenty. And and then we'd have breakfast after. We'd have a healthy breakfast together afterwards. Then we'd go to work.
Yeah.
I look back on those days as some of the happiest mornings of my life.
Yeah.
Because I had a routine going. And I think back to the years that I wasted not having a routine, getting up like when I woke up at like 8:30 and then like just going, oh, I'll get breakfast. No, I'll go and get a coffee. I'll just get a toasted ham and cheese sandwich. That's easier.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. When my kids sleep in both to 7, I'm going to get up at 5:30 every morning, do a 45-minute circuit at my house.
Yeah.
We've got a pool. I'm going to jump in the cold water. I'm going to have a healthy smoothie, plenty of water, and get ready before the kids get up. I can't wait to do that. So it's funny you ask me. It's like you're rubbing salt in the wound, but I can't do it at the moment. But I cannot wait to do it. And when I do, I know I'm going to feel so much better because of it.
Yeah, definitely. And I try to preach that to my clients as much as I can. And just anyone I talk to as well. I always see what like to know what their routine is, or I always get different ideas off them as well, and then you can try it in your
Well,
own. Or, as I said, it's just good to experiment, see what works for you at the same time too.
totally. I reckon having a routine in all aspects of your life is really, like, I played cricket for a really long time. I played cricket when I could walk, but I retired. I played grade cricket or district cricket or premier cricket, whatever you call it, in Melbourne.
Yeah.
For Melbourne University. And I had a routine that was so, on Saturdays, it was like, well, it'd start on Friday night. I'd swim a K on Friday nights. I'd always have, for dinner, I'd always go and get pho. Like, I don't know why, it's just a tradition I had. I don't know if it's the healthiest thing to have the night before cricket. I'd wake up at 7 o'clock on Saturday mornings. I'd go for a walk, get a coffee, come home. My bag was always packed for the night before. I would, so my walk was about 500 meters. I would then get in the car, drive, get a coffee again, meet someone else for breakfast, someone I played with, get to the game, put my bag in exactly the same spot, get my pads out, my gloves out, my bat out, put them in a line. And then I'd do the same lap of the oval, same stretch, same warm up to get me to 11 o'clock on the dot. And it just felt so good when you knew. It just felt awesome. Like, and I was thinking the other day, why don't we all do that with our lives? Have more of a routine every day. It just takes, like, every time you have to make a decision about, do I wear this? What am I going to wear? Where are my clothes? Oh, they're dirty there. It just takes emotional energy, like, to do that, to make cognitive energy, I should say. I think the more of a routine you have, the less you have to think. You can just get on and get through your day, I guess.
Yeah, there's some awesome points there. So listeners will definitely take that on board. Next one I want to touch on is cold showers. What do you think of them?
So I don't do them, but so as I said before, we've got a pool at home, and this winter, up till about probably mid-July, I was so motivated with all my track stuff that I would, every single time I finished a track session, I'd go and stand in the water waist deep for 10 minutes. And it was like, I think at one point it got down to about 10 degrees or 9 degrees in the water. So maybe I'm talking, was it 10 or 9? It was around that, maybe closer to 11 or 12. I can't remember, but it was like seriously cold. And I'd stand there waist deep. And then the last thing I'd do before I got out was just quickly duck my head under, and it hurt. But I always felt amazing afterwards, always. And I should be more disciplined and do cold, hot showers. In fact, even having this conversation makes me feel like maybe I should do it more. The pool's warming up. It's about 15 degrees at the moment. So yesterday, on Saturday after my run, I went in the pool straight away and just felt so good. In fact, talking about a morning routine, in my fantasy, right, in my morning routine fantasy, when the kids are sleeping in, I do exercise for 45 minutes. I jump in the pool and jump out no matter what time of year it is. No matter how cold, just jump in and jump out. People talk about it being an incredible hangover cure, like being in cold water. It's got such incredible power to just get you to sort of shock you into life. So all four cold. I don't do them, but I should.
Yeah, I've just started slowly increasing them back again. I used to say them again after I play a lot of basketball. So after my games, or even like my strength sessions, normally we're lucky enough to have an ice bath at the facility where I train. So in Pro Sport Health and Fitness of Richmond, you know.
Oh yes, yeah.
So I train out of there. So and we're lucky enough to have one. So I used to just try to get in there after, and I say again, the worst part's getting in, I think, but then once you get out, you're feeling very good after it.
Yeah, totally. It's just a different feeling, isn't it? Like, you feel ready to go, and your recovery is great as well.
Yeah, that's as well. Awesome. Going back to gratitude here, what do you feel so many people don't actually appreciate as much as they should?
It's a very good question. I think we've become so spoiled. I think we've become so spoiled in Australia. Like, I mean, COVID's really shone a light on that, right? Like, the amount of time we spend, you know, we in Melbourne right now, like, people sitting around going, I just wish I could get back into a cafe and have lunch with my friends in a cafe and have coffee and good food. But if you think about it, the last time you were there, you're sitting there going, it's too loud here, or this chair's wobbly, or this coffee isn't as good as last time, or I should have ordered that meal. Like, we just needed everything to be perfect. And I think because we expect everything to be perfect, because we spend a lot of time on Instagram where life is perfect. People make everything look perfect. So we expect the world to be perfect, and it's not.
Mm.
In fact, it's the imperfections around the world that actually connect us, which is a different topic, but that's what brings us closer together, is all the imperfections. But we wanted everything to be perfect. And if it wasn't, we kicked up, like, go to the movies and, oh, this popcorn's cold, or I want to sit there, I'm sitting not in a good seat here, or, go to the footy and, oh, I was a bit late and I didn't get a good seat, and oh, I had to queue up for a beer at halftime. I can tell you now, if people go to the footy, you give anything right now to queue up for a beer. Like, you'd give anything to be queuing up for a beer. But we just become we needed everything to be perfect. And I think coronavirus, I hope, has made us realize that, hey, we had it pretty good. And I think we need to get back to appreciating what we had.
Yeah, no, that's really good. Next one, I just want to go on empathy now. So ways to help others feel. So obviously sometimes in your friends group, you always have one that's a little bit negative sometimes, and you always want to try make sure that you focus on getting the positives out of them. How do you go about that?
It's I think the key is modeling. Like, you got to model, you have to model this stuff if you want it to work. So I think the most powerful way to influence anyone's behavior is to model those behaviors in front of them. It's as simple as that. Like, for example, you telling me that you are doing cold showers, that automatically made me go, I can do that. I can do that. I've got a shower. And I have a shower every day, twice a day. I should be doing that. Like, it's very simple. So you don't necessarily tell people to do it. You don't say, oh, I heard this podcast and this guy was talking about practicing empathy. I think you could be better at that. Maybe you should do that. That's just really confronting for that person. They're going to be like, mate, give us a spell. Like, you don't tell me that. But if you just model, model it. You watch what happens. Model it as much as you can. Do the things in front of them and see the impact it has on them. Yeah,
that's it. And as I said, I think it's all, like, when you are in your group of friends, it's like you like the people to be around. Like they are very positive and makes you, like, I suppose, positive as well. And good. Like, you want to be around them as much as you can, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like an aspirational effect you can have on people. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, which is awesome. Cool, that's really good. Last one I just want to finish on is, what are some strategies for when we get back to work and school?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know. It's a hard one to answer because we just don't know what the world's going to look like. And, kids at schools, are they going to be, like, not allowed to go too close to each other at lunchtime? And, when we're catching up with our friends, how close can we go? We're going to wear masks. I think every step that gets easier along this journey, and like, who knows, like, it could, I hate even these words coming out of my mouth, make me feel sick, but there could even be a third wave. Like, we don't know. I mean, there haven't been in other states, so fingers crossed we actually get on top of this. I mean, 11 cases today on, what is it? It's the 21st. We've had 11 cases which is so exciting. But I think we have to learn from what's happened here, because it could happen again. Like, until there's a vaccine, we don't know. And I think what it's revealed to me, coronavirus, is that as a society, we are not good with discomfort, and we are not good with uncertainty. Like, we just can't handle it. But here's the amazing thing that you will know better than anyone as a personal trainer, is that discomfort is where the most growth takes place. Yeah. Like, if you're on a bench press and you can do 12 reps and you do 6 or 7 and you go, I felt all right. Yeah. You're not going to grow from that. You're not going to get stronger from that. Yeah. You need to go through the discomfort to become stronger. So, and so many people spend so much of their life making sure their comfort zone is massive, right? Like, so they never get out of their comfort zone. Yeah. You don't grow if you don't get out of your comfort zone. And we have all been out of our comfort zone for the last, in Melbourne, we've been out of our comfort zone for the whole of 2020 pretty much. And it's been awful for so many reasons, but that's where growth takes place, and we've got to embrace it a bit more. So if the cases spike up again, we go, bloody hell, and we're entitled to get angry and stressed and depressed about it. But in the back of your mind, just know that this is where growth will take place. Like, two of my best mates from school, Dolly and Puff, who, that's not their real names, but their nicknames Dolly and Puff. They have this year, they're both my age, they're both 40. Well, sorry, they're both, one's 39, the other one's 40. Yeah. They have gone absolutely berserk on fitness this year. Yeah. Both of them were amazing athletes at school. Yeah. And both of them, the day they left school pretty much, no, that's not true. They played footy for quite a few years, but the day they stopped playing footy, when they were probably 27, 28, their parents went, I don't need to do fitness anymore. Yeah. 2020, because of coronavirus, they have turned into animals, and they are, I mean, God, the two of them are going to be in like they could be bodybuilders at the moment. I just saw a photo of them the other day. They've gone from, and it's because of the discomfort of 2020. They've gone, do you know what? I'm going to be home. I'm going to work out every day. And they've done it. And I'm so proud of them. And they've inspired me. So let's remember that adversity, discomfort, uncertainty, it builds growth. And no matter what happens from here, let's remember if it gets uncomfortable again, in the long run, it's good for us.
Yeah, exactly. I think pushing yourself out of that comfort zone is a big key. And when you touch on about your friends studying the fitness, I think so many people this coronavirus have like taken the opportunity to get themselves in shape or even try a bit of new stuff or fitness that they wouldn't have done before as well.
100%. It's been there are some awful things, but we got to hang on to the silver linings as well.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Thank you very much for your time today, Hugh. I really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure, mate. It's and well done for you with what you do, because as we said before, like, I don't think people quite understand. I think everyone knows it's good for them mentally, but I don't think people understand the actual extent to which it helps them to be happy doing fitness stuff. I know so many people who have turned their lives around because of fitness, and you're one of the people that makes that happen. So congratulations for everything you do.
I appreciate that as well. Where can listeners like check out like your socials or websites to keep you updated?
Yeah, I just watched the Social Dilemma on Friday night, and I feel bad about telling people to go to social media to follow me. So, the Resilience Project, we're on the socials, which I'm having an ethical dilemma with at the moment. But the website, if you go to the website, you can find the book there. You can find our podcast. You can find our app. All that kind of stuff sits on the website, theresilienceproject.com.au.
Yeah, awesome. Because you just started your own podcast, didn't you?
We did, yeah, we did. End of last year. It's called The Imperfects. If you'd like to listen to our podcast, where we share celebrities, I guess. We've got a beauty coming out next Monday. A guy called Sam Willoughby, who won silver medal in the 2012 Olympics BMX, and 4 years later he had an accident and became paralysed. And it's his difficulty working his way through that as an athlete to someone who can't walk. It's pretty upsetting. So. As you can imagine, but he's in a great place now. And it's because of the trauma that he went through. So yeah, it's called The Imperfects.
Yeah, awesome, guys. Listen, check that out. I'll put all in the show notes at the end of this podcast as well. So thanks guys for listening today. I'm sure you'll take some value out of today's episode. So I'll share it when it's up, and I'll guys, you can go check it out. Enjoy your day, guys. Thanks again. Bye.
Thanks, Marcus.